Furi is a game that, by all means, should have ended up pretty mediocre. But for some reason, the music is just so fucking good that it carries the rest of the game.
Time to wake up.
You see, I'm a sucker for punishment. Games with that sweet, sweet difficulty tag just sorta do it for me. There's something about tackling a problem that's completely beyond my current capabilities and getting my ass absolutely handed to me. Maybe it's the gratification of finally overcoming the obstacle at the end. Maybe it's the journey, you know? The self-discovery and friends we made along the way. Or maybe I'm just a masochist, and I'm into that shit. But there's definitely a reason, you know? A reason that I, and I imagine many others, can repeatedly bash our heads into the grinder that is hard video games. Now, we all know how this is gonna go down. Every single fucking video or piece of media that mentions video game difficulty always has to bring it up. For what am I if not mortal, forever drawn and attracted, almost magnetized to the video game that's gathered us all under the banner of difficulty. I'm like a moth that's seen the warm luminescent glow of an incandescent light bulb, possessed by the holy gamer ghosts of Christmas past. That's right, I'm talking about Bloons Tower Defense 6, baby. An actually hard game that brings out the worst of us. The never-ending grind and challenge to commit mass balloon genocide. I'm serious. Bloons Tower Defense 6 is a damn good example, because it's unique, challenging, and an overall satisfying experience. And it isn't Dark Souls, much like Furi. Good segue.
Shake your head. Nod your head. It's time to go.
The story is relatively engaging, albeit rather simple. The premise is basic enough. A bunch of guys have you locked up and you've got to escape by, you know, convincing them with your sword. You feel pretty damn good about it too, because most of these guys are just straight up assholes. And then you hit this guy, then this girl. You have that moment where you take a second and think to yourself, we the baddies? Without going too deep into it, there's a nice little twist, a secret ending, and a final choice to decide the ultimate outcome. Honestly, it's more than expected of a narrative surrounding a rather short boss rush game. And that earns bonus points from me. Not that I'm counting them or anything. Vibrant and fluid is probably the best way I could describe the art style. Interesting enough to keep me entertained, clean enough to keep gameplay smooth. Not much else you could ask for. I mean, the main character is pretty sweet to look at. Sick haircut, neon fit, and cyberpunk katana? Like, fuck yeah. The boss designs are just as colorful, and varied enough not to feel like a repetitive slugfest. Level design is usually just one large circular arena, so in that aspect there isn't really a lot of variety. Thankfully, dynamic boss mechanics keep you on your toes. The gameplay itself revolves around a multitude of boss fights. Each one offers something a little bit more different and more interesting than the last. Not a single henchman or minion in sight. Just you, the gun, the blade, and the bad guy. Is the game perfect? Not in the least. As much as I like to jerk off developers until they're dry, there are certain aspects that turn me straight off. If you're an impatient asshole like I am, the walking transitions between bosses can become rather cumbersome at times. Thankfully, there is an auto walk button. An old bunny head boy is around to keep you company. And the view is actually not that bad. And it sort of makes you feel like an old school samurai showing up to his final duel. Okay, maybe the walking isn't so bad if you get into the right headspace. But I know for sure the transitions between levels are rather divisive amongst players. The fights themselves though. Oh lord, the fights. They hit that sweet spot. Enjoyable, but not easy. Challenging, but not rage quit inducing. Except this old piece of shit. Like, what the fuck were they thinking designing this asshole? Garbage, stupid, idiot, meditating, shield using, time traveling fucko. Like, if you could just do me a quick favor and delete this old man from the game, that would be great. The only reason I persevered for so long was because his theme was an absolute bop. Before Furi, I didn't think a game could be carried by music alone. And while some games may have tried, it very rarely works that way. Unless demanded by the genre, music in and of itself keeps to the background and serves to amplify the gameplay. Music is the spice, the condiment, the icing to the metaphorically already saturated dish that is the game. It's the accessory to the outfit, the RGB lights to your overpriced rig, the sauce to your grilled meat. The point is that I'm hungry, and that music isn't usually at the forefront of gameplay. But, like I said, Furi just hits different. I doubt I would have even come close to clocking it if my ears weren't blessed by the holy goodness that is the OST. So let me postulate this. What if our old friend, the metaphorical meat, wasn't the gameplay, but the soundtrack? The high-octane, adrenaline-injecting, hype-producing music just makes you want to play. It makes you want to win. If you know me, you know that I place way more importance on soundtrack and sound design than most people. So when I say that out of all the games I've ever played, and I've played a lot of games, Furi still lounges on that sweet regal throne of best OST of all time. What Furi lacks in narrative and some parts of gameplay, it more than makes up for in soundtrack. And I'm not sure about you guys, but that's more than enough to make me stay.